What it is, cuckolds, it's your boy the Hater up in this piece. Hater on the road! I just finished watching Night of Champions, and the show was definitely mid. I mean, personally, I don't know if the show lived up to any hype that I gave it for anybody else, but for me, it definitely didn't. So let's go through it segment by segment. Cucksties! Alright, we start off with an unexpected match. Randy versus Cody, alright? The match is slow and boring. I didn't enjoy it at all. It's one of those methodical Randy Orton matches where he does one move, and then basically what happens is we just wait for seemingly forever for the next move to happen. Cody does a variety of Cody cutters, right? Which are effectively beefed up versions of the RKO. Now I know Cody is a small man compared to Randy Orton, but it doesn't really explain why when Cody does a Cody cutter, it's not as powerful as the RKO. Orton kicks out of both, and then Orton eventually hits the RKO out of nowhere, but Cody kicks out irrespective of that. The story of the match effectively becomes that Randy Orton is a complete idiot. There's a part where Randy Orton has him set up for the punt, and then he hesitates. I guess he doesn't want the title shot as much as he said he did, and, Cody said he wants it a little bit more. Orton eventually shakes himself out of the hesitation, goes for the punt, misses. Orton then goes to get a chair, which is a distraction. He takes down the top turnbuckle covering, exposing the little ring thing. Eventually, because Orton is a complete idiot, Cody pushes him rib first into it. That's pretty much all it takes. One crossroad does the job, and Cody is the new cuck of the ring. Now, I don't care about this. I'm totally fine with Cody versus John Cena, just like I would be with Randy versus John Cena. But the match itself was boring, the finish was stupid, and Randy Orton came out looking like a complete idiot. Right? This really solidifies this new dumbass version of Randy Orton, the lowest version of Orton of all time. Next up, we've got Raquel versus Rhea. It's a pretty good match. There's a hardcore element to it. It's a Street Fighter, some shit, right? So there's a lot of things happening, Some pretty cool spots. Roxanne Perez appears and interferes, but it ain't enough. So, interference is null and void. Rhea eventually wins. I mean, nothing really to see here. A totally random match. It could have been on Raw, but it is a Rhea Ripley match, and Rhea Ripley seldom wrestles. So I guess that's the attraction. That's the draw for the fans. The fans were lukewarm during this match. I mean, they like Rhea, but who the hell cares, Raquel is not presented as being someone on the same level, and she's a bigger part of the problem, the main problem, I think, in WWE, which is this lack of differentiation, right? Where it's we know, based on the way that people are booked, that someone like Rhea Ripley is below someone like, Raquel Rodriguez or Roxanne Perez. But the match is still 50-50, right? It's not this decisive match. When was the last time we had a decisive match? I don't even mean a squash match. I mean a match Carmelo Hayes versus Cody a year and a half ago. That was a decisive match. It turned into a squash match verbally because Michael Cole wouldn't stop talking about how much of a jobber Carmelo Hayes is. But I think I got my point across up in this bitch. Next up, we've got Karrion versus Sami Zayn. In this event, who gives a rat's ass match? Karrion Kross's cringe entrance starts, right? I had forgotten how bad this entrance is. Karrion Kross is just a terrible wrestler who has been presented in the worst way possible. One of my biggest criticisms of Karrion Kross early on was that his entrance is overproduced and, quite frankly, fucking stupid. It's cringe. Scarlett comes out and she's lip syncing the shit lyrics of his song, Fall and Pray. It's dude, first of all, we haven't heard this song in 3 years, because even when he wrestles once in a while, the song barely plays. We certainly haven't seen him have a solo entrance in forever. And then the lyrics are stupid. They're objectively stupid in and of themselves, but they're stupid especially in the context of Karrion Kross, because he is an abject jobber. Nobody has fallen to Karrion Kross, and nobody prays to escape Karrion Kross because he's a jobber who loses to everyone. This is dumb. This would be like if Taka Michinoku's gimmick was that of The Undertaker. And like Taka Michinoku comes out and we're supposed to believe that, I don't know, Stone Cold or Triple H are like concerned that Taka Michinoku is here. You know what I mean? That's how Karrion Kross comes off to me. He's a jobber who has that gimmick reserved, or that should be reserved, for a scary main event type. Same thing with Uncle Howdy. These are just jobbers. You know, I don't care if their gimmick is like they're supposed to be bigger than they are. They're still jobbers, motherfucks. I didn't enjoy this very much. The match was exactly what you'd expect. It was a Sami Zayn match, you know? Sami Zayn gets his ass beat the whole time, and this match culminates with a thorough ass whooping. Karrion Kross puts on the Kross jacket, and the referee does the 3 arm drops. Sometimes they do a 1 arm drop, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. They need to like really get like this on board, right? Which is it? Because sometimes they just check the arm, they just touch it once, the arm is limp, the person's out. But in WWE, historically you get 3. Sami Zayn gets 2, so I'm like, all right, is it over? Then the arm drops again, and Sami Zayn, like, you know, lives to fight another day. Karrion Kross starts whooping his ass more, throws him in the corner, starts talking shit, starts doing running clotheslines. At this point, everyone that's ever watched a Sami Zayn match knows that after doing several successful clotheslines, Karrion Kross is going to run to the other corner, Sami's going to chase him with a haluva kick. That's exactly what happens, and Sami Zayn wins the match. He gets his ass beat thoroughly, he hits 1 kick, and he wins. If you've seen the Gunther vs. Sami Zayn match at WrestleMania, you've seen this match. It's the same level of match. It's the same level of wrestlers because one of them is the same guy, and Karrion Kross and Gunther are effectively the same thing. They're 2 big, boring guys with like a SmackDown 1, like a WWF Attitude moveset. No, not even. Yeah, like a WWF Warzone moveset. You know what I mean? Like, or a WrestleMania like arcade game moveset. There's like 10 moves in that game, and these guys have those 10 moves, you know? So there you have it. The match was complete garbage. I should note that Sami Zayn came out wearing a headscarf because he's an Arab, and that's how that goes down, right? Then, after this, we get what I thought was the best match of the night, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. The match itself wasn't anything special, but ultimately, Jacob Fatu loses to the superior Solo Sikoa, who is now the new United States champion. I think that Solo is long overdue for a mid-level push, like the one he's getting. I predicted everything that would happen in this match. You can go and look at my last video where I said this exact thing would happen, right? I said either the Tongas are going to come back and or Hikuleo is going to debut. That's exactly what happened. Tama Tonga didn't come back, but Tongaloa came back. Middle of the match, JC Fateo, who looks to have gained 15 pounds since last week, right? He comes out and then he gets his ass whooped by Jacob Fatu. The one thing that was done correctly here is that Jacob Fatu was presented, once again, unjustifiably so, as being this unstoppable force. At some point, Jacob Fatu is like thoroughly whooping that ass, and the whole time we're listening to Michael Cole tell us how much of a freak athlete he is. And all I could think of the whole time was Jacob Fatu is basically Ivar from the fucking Viking Raiders, except he's smaller and weaker. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I don't think anybody who's not retarded would think that Jacob Fatu would have any chance against Ivar in a fight. Like, Ivar would probably beat up like 99% of the WWE roster. Like, you know what I mean? He'd obviously destroy like Roman Reigns. He'd obviously destroy Seth Rollins, you know? There's a few that would have a chance. You know, the ones that have actual athleticism, like Braun Breaker, obviously like Bronson Reed, like other big guys, you know, people like that, Omos, who we haven't seen in forever. But that's pretty much what it is. And Jacob Fatu is presented like Ivar should be presented, but he's not like as impressive. However, during the match, he does do the Fosbury's flop. It's not exactly to the level of AJ Styles, but nevertheless, it's finally a good move from this fat jobber. Then eventually, like I said, Tongaloa interferes, does a draping neck breaker. He doesn't know which way to do it. He does it the opposite way, probably for like logistical reasons. Then eventually, none of this matters. A Fosbury flop situation happens. Jacob Fatu hits a botchy moonsault, and then Hikuleo appears, pulls him out, choke slams him to the table. Hikuleo looks good. He looks more jacked than he did in New Japan, and he's just like a fucking giant. He like towers over the rest of these mid-level jobbers. They're like regular dudes, you know what I mean? So then he throws him back. Solo hits the Samoan spike, which Jacob Fatu sells with like the classic Samoan backflip. You know, like when Rikishi would get clotheslined by like, you know, Val Venus or something. He would do like a backflip and sell the clothesline. Him and Billy Gunn would do that a lot, right? Like, in fact, in WWE SmackDown, Know Your Role, when JBL or Bradshaw was given the clothesline from Hell finisher, like they put that sell in there where the person gets flipped because Billy Gunn used to do that, so did Rikishi. So anyways, that's how that goes down. Nobody could care less, but we have a new champion, and I thought for what this was, even though it's predictable, it was interesting. You got the point across. There's a new faction, or a new version of the same faction, and this is my favorite version because they actually have a big guy. Now, the logical thing to do here would be that somebody is either going to turn on Solo, or Solo's going to turn on them. There's really no logic behind anything here, but, like, it makes you wonder, why did Jacob Fatu get all butthurt? You know what I mean? He is the lackey, so he's going to be treated like a lackey. And sometimes that entails the boss saying that you suck. You know what I mean? That's just part of being a lackey. And it's not like Jacob Fatu wasn't aware that he was a lackey. He was the ultimate lackey. He was presented exactly as a retard, right? A guy who comes out and says, I love you, Solo. Like he's supposed to be retarded, you know? So there you have it. That happened. Then it's time for Asuka versus Jade. Again, a reasonable match. Jade comes out with blue contact lenses. It looks really stupid. We get it. She's supposed to be Storm from X-Men. I think it's really cringe. Just have her own identity instead of being a comic book character. The story of the match is Asuka is just a superior wrestler and a legendary wrestler at that, whereas Jade Cargill is obviously bigger and stronger. Strength and size wins once again when Jade Cargill counters the Asuka attack, whatever, the Empress Impact, the Asuka Impact, picks her up, hits her with the fucking Jaded, and wins. After the match, for absolutely no reason, Jade tries to cut an inspirational, hater-like promo, but she doesn't have the requisite charisma to do that, so she fails miserably. And then the fans kind of chant a little bit, they cheer because she says, like, believe in yourself. Dumb fuck. Alright, anyways, it's time for the main event. First, they show the dumbass yin-yang promo. Cena is keeping this fucking shit company alive. And then CM Punk comes out looking like a special ed teacher who coaches soccer on the side. The match is your classic Cena CM Punk match. Relatively slow, relatively uncoordinated from the CM Punk part. There is a form of athleticism which we generally just refer to as athleticism, right? Just classic athleticism, which is measured by an individual's ability to do what they're trying to do very fluidly, right? So when someone does something and it's not awkward looking, right? So for example, gymnasts, right? Gymnasts, it doesn't really matter if in gymnastics you do the flip. You also have to nail the landing, right? You have to land straight and you have to do a pose. Because we're not measuring, can you do the flip, right? We're measuring, can you do the flip gracefully? A lot of people can do the flip. Like those parkour people can do like way more flips than fucking Simone Biles. Then they land on their knees. You know, they fuck everything up in the end, right? Because they're not very athletic in that regard. They're very nimble, but they're not to that level. So that's how that goes. Cucks. CM Punk, in my opinion, is the guy that has the least of this ever. CM Punk looks like a marionette when he's wrestling. Like when he ducks, like a clothesline, he has to duck like 2 feet. When he counters something, it's like nobody would let someone counter this like this, right? He's just very marionette-ish. He's like a puppet, right? Just hanging on strings. Everything that he does drags. Nothing is fluid. Like, I'll give you an example. You know that, like, running knee that he does to the corner? Where he, like, puts his foot on, like, the first rope, does a knee? That looks like shit. Like, he runs, and then he has to, like, slow down and stop into the knee. Right? Versus, like, for example, when Kevin Owens does the cannonball, he also kind of hesitates, right? But look at, for example, when Chris Sabin does the, ironically named, hesitation dropkick. He hesitates in the air. It's part of the move. He doesn't slow down at all. He just goes and does it, right? Like the Motor City Machine Gun's a great example, right? You know when they do that little double team, like, combo move they do? Where they kick the guy in the knee, and then the guy goes off the ropes, and, like, everything is just done perfectly? Or the Young Bucks, where everything they do is fluid, right? They don't delay anything, right? Everything CM Punk does, and anything he's always done, has always been delayed. So CM Punk, for example, wrestling in his, like, late 40s, isn't impressive. Because he's just been doing that at the same level his whole career. It's just been a really shitty level, you know what I mean? So anyways, the match goes on, and despite the fact that CM Punk sucks ass, Cena hits 3 AAs, but Punk kicks out. This is unacceptable. At some point, Punk kind of gets the Anaconda Vice, but, like, not really. Like, it's not one of those moments where it's like, will Cena tap? It's one of those he's struggling and he gets the rope moments. So, as far as I'm concerned, CM Punk has done no finishers on Cena. Cena's done 3 in a row. And in my personal opinion, if people are kicking out of 3 of your finishers, you need a new finisher. Now, obviously, for Cena, it's too late because he's only got a few months left before he retires, before he sets sail, motherfucks. But it's just unacceptable. Remember back in the day when Triple H would do a pedigree and nobody kicked out of it? It was just how it was. The pedigree, 1, 2, 3, guaranteed. I don't care if it's The Rock, I don't care if it's Stone Cold, I don't care if it's The Big Show. Like one time, like Mick Foley kicked out of the pedigree, and that was something that was done like as a huge deal. After taking a massive beating, Mick Foley kicks out of the pedigree. Then he gets picked up and pedigreed again on thumbtacks, just to sell that move, right? And he doesn't kick out. You know, but the AA and modern finishers, especially in shitty like pay-per-view type matches, it's like they don't even count anymore. Like they don't finish anybody. Like, think about it. When was the last time that one finisher finished the match? I guess you could say like the Crossroads tonight, but that doesn't really count because that had like theatrics, you know what I mean? Randy Orton had to hit the turnbuckle. Same thing, like Jacob Fatu needed to get wrecked with several finishing type moves before he got hit with a Samoan Spike, right? So, I don't know. Bring back some respect to finishers. I blame people like Penta and the Young Bucks, mostly the Young Bucks, for ruining finishers, but we need to have some respect for finishers once again. After this, the match goes on. Punk eats a GTS, but obviously Cena kicks out, right? Like, they're not gonna like make the GTS look 3 times stronger. The ref eventually takes a bump when Cena goes for his comeback, and he gets GTS'd again. Cena, that is, right? But, you know, the ref is out, so Cena doesn't kick out. Now, the implications of this are like Cena wouldn't kick out. But I fucking hate that they do that in wrestling, right? The idea is, if you're not hearing the referee count, why would you kick out, right? Why would you exert force? You would wait until you hear 1, 2, and then you kick out, right? When that happens, which it didn't happen this time, but when that happens generally, like the referee is late, the announcer shouldn't present it as like, oh, he had him beat. The announcer should present it as, wow, if the referee counted a little bit earlier, we don't know what would have happened. Because it's very possible the person would kick out at 2.5, right? But he didn't because he didn't hear the referee counting. Even if, let's say in kayfabe, someone is knocked out, right? A lot of times they say, oh, they kicked out on instinct, meaning that they heard 1, 2, and then they kicked out. What else would be the instinct? Kick out for no reason? Like nobody ever kicks out at 0. Nobody ever kicks out at 4, right? You either kick out or you don't. So on instinct, it would have to be based on the referee's count. So I don't like how they did that. Anyways, as this happens, Rollins comes out with entrance music, which I don't like. He's obviously not going to cash in. This is one of those red herring fake outs. And I have something to say about that once we're done. Braun and Bronson are with him, as is Heyman, and they go after Punk immediately. Punk then dives on them and misses, right? There's a lot of botches in this event, but after Braun and Bronson came out, the botches seem to happen every 10 seconds. Punk overshoots the dive, or he undershoots it and they don't catch him, or he correctly shoots it, they don't catch him, but it just looks stupid. I think they were supposed to just catch him, right? Then they do like a bonsoir, basically, like a double slam on the announce table, which doesn't break, which I fucking hate. On the Arabic announce table, that is. And that one also was botchy. They barely are coordinated enough to lift them up at the same time. Maybe it's CM Punk's fault. That is the one common denominator, is that every time there's a botch that involves CM Punk, it obviously involves CM Punk, and they happen a lot in his matches. So anyways, after this, Rollins calls for the official, the blonde guy, forget his name now, Charles Patrick maybe? No, it's Nick Patrick and Charles Robinson, I think it is. Charles Robinson comes out, running to the ring. Cena just shoulder tackles him, completely eliminating him, right? Cena goes in the ring and him and Rollins start like, I guess, talking about what's happening. It's really weird. Rollins says, he doesn't involve you, which is one of the dumbest things ever said on TV. Cena says, of course it involves me. What do you mean does it involve him? You're trying to steal his title by interrupting his match. It involves him 100%. So then, they talk some more shit. Cena hits the AA on Rollins, right? But he gets attacked by the Bronzes, by Braun and Bronson. Then Penta comes out, also with music. I don't know why these people just get to play their music in the middle of a match. Who booked this shit, right? Then he fights Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker whoops his ass. He kicks Braun Breaker in the chest, like in like a kneeling super kick type situation. So there's no excuse. It's one thing to like miss and hit the chest when the guy's standing. When the guy's kneeling, it's like you just have no coordination whatsoever. Penta is just a botch machine. From his first match in WWE in the Royal Rumble, where he got eliminated first or second in like 1 minute, and they pretended that he didn't, up until now, all this guy does is botch. Then, after he's taken care of, Sami Zayn comes out. And the two of them effectively work together to get rid of Braun Breaker. Bronson Reed, meanwhile, is just doing punches to Cena. He climbs up to do the tsunami. CM Punk pushes him off. Now, I get it. CM Punk, doesn't want to win the match in a tainted way. But obviously, that's stupid. Let him hit the tsunami, kick him in the head, and then pin Cena. But what happens instead is as Cena is out there, rolling out of the way, because, Bronson, gets pushed, even though, he gets pushed, why didn't he just fall on Cena? Anyways, who cares? Or if he gets pushed, why does he have to flip over? Just get pushed and do a tsunami. Same thing, right? You're falling anyways, cuck. Cena picks up Bronson Reed. He pretends that it's difficult, but you can just tell by looking at him that Cena can do this in his sleep, right? Cena is just crazy strong, right? He AAs Bronson Reed, and at this point I'm thinking, man, at this point CM Punk can just do a GTS and win. But that's not what happens. Instead, they stare at each other lovingly. It's very weird, right? Punk offers a handshake for no reason. All of a sudden, after cutting a promo on Cena about how Cena is a sellout and he sees right through him, Punk offers a handshake, Cena accepts the handshake, and I shit you not, motherfucks, if you hadn't seen this event, right, and you just, watched SmackDown, you would not believe me when I say that they hugged, right? Because it's just unbelievable. Why would they hug? But here we are. They do hug. Cena, has that look on his face, the same look that he had when he hugged Cookie Rhodes, and he goes for what they say is a low blow, but it was really more of a stomach kick. He didn't go for a low blow. He went for a kick. CM Punk blocks it, picks him up, and the fireman's carry for the GTS. Rollins comes back, and then attacks CM Punk with the briefcase, and then curb stomps his ass, right? Cena then throws out Seth Rollins in a few seconds, and pins CM Punk. 1, 2, 3, motherfucks. So Cena rules, and Cena wins the title. Michael Cole is talking about how Cena won in controversial fashion. What's the controversial fashion, right? The referee was taken out as part of the match. It's not like Cena took out the referee on purpose, right? Oh, I should also note, there was a part where Cena briefly turned face. He had the title, he wanted to blast CM Punk with it, but he didn't, right? And that's what led to the GTS, actually, I think. Could be wrong. I think it was that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, there was nothing controversial about this in terms of Cena winning, right? The match was ruined by Seth Rollins, but hold that against Seth Rollins. Cena didn't cheat, right? He actually overcame insurmountable odds. Not only did he beat CM Punk, which was his task at hand, but he thwarted the cash-in from Seth Rollins. Then Michael Cole says, after saying it's controversial, which it obviously isn't, Michael Cole then goes on and says that for 2 years now, Seth Rollins has made it a mission to thwart CM Punk's goals, right? Especially his goal to win the title, which is weird because CM Punk's goal was that, but it was also to be in the main event. So for 2 years now, on and off of course, Seth Rollins has successfully thwarted CM Punk's goals. Now, the issue that I had with this was that Michael Cole made it seem as if Seth Rollins succeeded in his mission, while it is definitely true that Seth Rollins wants to thwart CM Punk. This doesn't change the fact that that was not what was happening today. Today, Seth Rollins didn't come out to screw CM Punk. Today, he came out to cash in his money in the bank, and he failed. So as a result, Seth Rollins should not be getting the praise of someone that succeeded. He failed. He failed, motherfucks. He failed at his goal today. And that's what Seth Rollins was presenting. He was all frustrated. Michael Cole's like, you screwed CM Punk again. That's not the focus here. The focus here is Seth Rollins tried to cash in. In doing so, he screwed CM Punk. But ultimately, Cena prevailed. So, I didn't enjoy the last match at all, right? Because, I enjoyed the way that it ended in the sense that Cena won. I think it's obviously the right choice. But I didn't enjoy the fact that they ruined the match. And that brings me to this mini rant that I want to do. Seth Rollins coming in and interrupting the match is par for the course, right? He's actually the one that set the precedent at WrestleMania 31, right? So I get it. Nothing against that, right? However, we can't keep doing this, right? Even in kayfabe, shouldn't Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce go to Seth Rollins and say, whoa, bro, you can't just do this in every championship match. You know, they need to rethink the rules of the Money in the Bank. Right? The amount of false cash-ins that we have are insane. Like, the amount of times that Tiffany Stratton teased the cash-in is like, I think it's like over 20. You know? So with that being said, it's like, if you're going to ruin the match, you should definitely cash in. Right? At WrestleMania 31, yes, you can make the argument that Seth Rollins ruined the match. In fact, he did. But it was his right to do so with the Money in the Bank because he cashed it in. And you're going to play his music at WrestleMania because this is a massive moment. It's one of the biggest moments of WrestleMania history, or at least that's how they're trying to present it. This is huge. The main event is won by someone that's not in the main event, right? I mean, it's happened before with like Hulk Hogan and shit, but you know what I'm saying. So this massive situation cannot be falsely replicated like ad infinitum. All CM Punk and Cena were doing were having a match. They were just having a match, and CM Punk and Cena, their match gets ruined by a failed cash-in. That's unacceptable. What prevents Seth Rollins from doing this in every championship match? In fact, why wouldn't he do this in every championship match, right? Think about it logically. Why not just have your music play, come in, attack everybody during the championship match when the referee's down, right? Or even when they're up. Just attack somebody and be like, oh, sorry for interfering. I was planning on cashing in, but I didn't. You see what I'm saying? That's really stupid. And there should be some repercussions. Like on Raw, you know, tomorrow, not tomorrow, Monday, because it's Saturday today, motherfuckers. On Raw, like, Adam Pearce should be like, bro, you can't keep doing this. And as punishment, I'm going to have you, like, compete against, I don't know, the returning, like, I don't know, Braun Strowman or something, right? Think about it. That needs to happen because you can't just normalize this behavior. You know, a lot of times, I know the fans like it, the fans in attendance are excited because they're going to see a good moment, but it does cheapen the rest of what happened. In this case, they didn't completely ruin it because all the interference happened while the referee was not looking. So it's no big deal. But, and it's, you know, you can just chalk it up to normal interference, but the concept is flawed. You know, it should be like this. You cash in backstage, right? You say, I'm cashing in. Then you run to the ring, and that's your cash in. You know, you run in with the referee, and that's your cash in. You can't just bring referee with you and be like, oh, I'm not cashing in. You should, if the referee's with you, you should go and give him the briefcase. That should be the requirement to get the referee to come with you. Otherwise, why are you pulling a referee? No, you're supposed to give them the briefcase and say, referee, do your job, right? That's not what's happening here, and that's why this match, in my opinion, I didn't like it. The interference would have otherwise been fun. If there was like for example, if the cash-in happened, right, but he failed at cashing in, but he cashed in and just failed, that'd be perfectly fine. You know? All right, this was his moment. He ruined the moment of two other people, which is exactly what the Money in the Bank is supposed to do. It's supposed to ruin lives. But you can't just ruin lives and then have an opportunity to ruin lives again next month. So with that being said, I mean, there were some decent moments here. There weren't that many commercials. I mean, I did fast forward a lot during the commercials, so like, I don't know, because I started like 30 minutes late, but usually I start 30 minutes late and I finish 30 minutes early. So there you have it. The crowd was into it. It was a big crowd. The matches were not complete shit, but I didn't like how they felt, right? I didn't like, the only match that I enjoyed, I would say, is the US title match. And that was because like the faction is growing, right? And at some point, I am curious to see where this faction is going to end up. So that's all I got to say about that, motherfucks. You know, let's see what happens on Raw. We'll go from there. Cucks this.